Welcome to the Lights Out podcast, bedtime stories for boys and girls for when the lights go out. This is one of 3 stories recorded live when the lights were out to my girls. There's 3 stories about ballerinas. We have Emmalina, we have Ballerina, and we have the 3 ballerina sisters. They were all recorded live, and so you can hear the baby and you can hear how the stories developed and how they started. So maybe you can get some ideas for stories with your mummy and daddy. So turn the lights off, close your eyes and listen to this story. It's quite magical and just a little bit scary. Okay, are you ready for bed? Are you ready for a story?
Yeah.
What kind of story you want today?
Because she said she wants a scary one. I was just a girl who couldn't do anything became a ballerina. And the teacher who taught her to do ballet was a monster.
Okay, that sounds like a good story.
Yes.
Okay. So, are you ready? This is a story.
You have to come to my bed because I'm going to have a nightmare because I will hear the same story.
Well, I've got the baby in my hand as well. So,
If I hear everyone, I always have a nightmare.
but it's not too scary. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Emmalina. And Emmalina was...
Ballerina and an A.
It is, but it's E-M-M, Emmalina. Now, once upon a time, there was a girl called Emmalina, but she was very special because when she was born, she couldn't move. Her mummy and daddy thought there was something wrong with her. Well, there was something wrong with her, but they thought she was dead. But she wasn't dead because she was smiling and giggling, and she had the biggest blue eyes you've ever seen. So they knew that she was wide awake, but she just could not move her legs or her arms. It was quite strange because she would cry like a baby and she would feed like a baby, but she just would lie there and look at you with the big blue baby eyes. Her mummy and daddy didn't know what to do, so they went to the best doctor in the whole wide world, and they said, let's take some x-rays and some CAT scans and some MRIs and some BPDs and XYZs and WPFs and some other fancy letters, which means we're just going to take some pictures of inside your body. And they did, and they said, well, there's nothing wrong with her that we can see. But there must be something wrong with her, said the mummy and daddy. She can't move. I know, but look at her. She's laughing and smiling and she's eating well and growing well, but she just doesn't move her arms and her legs. On one hand, Mummy was quite thankful because it meant that she wouldn't crawl around like little Eden, like a monkey, wanting to be up and down everywhere. Eden was her friend's little boy, and he has 2 amazing big sisters, and he was just a little mischief. Weren't you, little boy? Anyway, the doctor said, I've only ever seen a case like this once before. And she fully recovered and became a very, very famous dancer. Tell me about it. What can we do? Well, the mummy and daddy of this girl almost gave up until they met a magical dance teacher called Mrs. Grotbags. Okay, well, can we call her as well? I'm afraid she doesn't teach anymore. She lives at the top of a mountain in a cave. But we've got to find her. She's our only hope. Well, sorry. After that case, I didn't speak to that dance teacher anymore. So I don't know. I don't have her email address or a phone number. And I don't think a cave has Wi-Fi, so I'm not sure. And so they went home, quite disappointed and a bit upset. But Daddy, being the greatest researcher explorer in the whole wide world, spent days and weeks on Google trying to find this mysterious dance teacher. And he finally did. Using the satellite pictures, he found the teacher who had green hair going into the cave one day. And so he put on his hiking boots that were gathering dust on the shelf, and he hiked all the way to the mountain with his little girl on his backpack. It took him a day to hike up the mountain, and they had to camp in a tent halfway up. But he finally reached the entrance to the cave, which was dark and scary. And inside he could hear some music. It was like classical music. And so he took the baby inside. And I mean, when I say she's a baby, she was about 3 years old at this time. So she should be walking, but she couldn't move a muscle. He walked further and further into the cave, and the music grew louder and louder, and the echo bounced off the cave walls and woke up the baby, who opened up her big blue eyes, and the sparkle from the candlelights bounced off the girl's blue eyes right into this dance teacher's face. "Who are you?" said the dance teacher. "We've come here so that you can help my little girl to walk again." "No, go away." And the dance teacher threw a stone, and he almost hit the daddy on the head. But he wouldn't give up, as any daddy wouldn't give up. And he marched forward and he said, "Listen, you. I am this girl's daddy. And I will do anything to make sure she has the best life. And I heard that you cured another girl, and I want you to do the same." "Well, there's only one thing you can do, is leave the baby here with me and go home." "What?" "You heard me. If you want her to walk again, leave her here and go straight home. Don't look back." Well, that put Daddy in such a spot. If he walks home, what's he going to say to Mum? He left the baby on top of a mountain in a cave with a monster of a dance teacher. Or he takes her back down the hill and gives up the chance of her ever walking again. What should he do? What should he do? Well, he had to think about it, but the dance teacher gave him like 10 seconds. She had this magical blue sand timer, and she turned it, and there was only like 25 bits of sand. She said, "You have until this finishes to make your mind up, or I'm going to move to a different cave on the moon. You'll never find me again." Oh. He looked into his daughter's big blue eyes, and he thought, well, I found the witch. Why is she a witch? I found the dance teacher once. If I leave you here and she disappears, I'll definitely find you again, and I'll never stop until I die. So I'm confident of that. If I take you home, I don't know if I'll ever be able to make you walk again. And so the dad gave the little girl to the dance teacher on the top of the mountain, who's kind of a witch in my mind, almost a monster. And he walked back down the mountain. In one go, he didn't even stop. He didn't sleep for 46 hours. When he got home, it was in the middle of the night, and he told Mummy what had happened. And she screamed and slapped his head. "What did you do that for?" And so he sat down and he explained. He only had one choice, and that he wouldn't rest until he'd taken all the choices that would lead to his daughter walking again. "Did you get a phone number then?" "No." "Did you get her email?" "No." "What about the food? Does she have food for the baby, for the little girl?" I don't know." "What? What about clothes?" Well, there's lots of things that Daddy had not thought about, as usual, that mummies do. But there was lots of things that Daddy thought about that mums don't as well. So that's why they make such a good team. And so, they sat there for days and days and days, and weeks and weeks and weeks. And after 1 year, exactly 1 year after Daddy had left the baby, the little girl in the cave with this witch of a monster of a scary dance teacher, he decided to go back. And so Daddy climbed up the mountain again, this time with Mummy as well. He had to buy another pair of boots. And they walked up. And as they got to the entrance of the cave, they could hear the same music. Well, Dad could hear the same music. And he told Mum, look, it's like classical ballerina music. How do you know what ballerina music sounds like? Well, I've been researching that, haven't I? And so, Mummy and Daddy walked down into the belly of the cave. The belly of the cave. And they could hear the voice of the dance teacher. 1, 2, 1, 2. More. Harder. And they could hear the girl sing, but it hurts so much. And they'd never heard the girl's voice before, but they knew it was their daughter. And when they got into the cave, they said, hello. The music stopped straight away. And the witch, she's got to be a witch now, the witch of a dance teacher turned around. And the girl turned around. And her eyes were not blue anymore, they were green. They were still big and beautiful, but they were green. And she was stretching and moving and dancing like a ballerina. They couldn't believe their eyes. And so, the girl saw the mum and the daddy, but she didn't move. And so they thought that was a bit strange, because we'd just seen her stretching and dancing. And she said, who are you? We are your mummy and daddy. No, you're not. This is my mum. No, that's your dance teacher. And she's a witch and a monster. And she lives in a cave. We are your mummy and daddy. Look. And they showed her some pictures of when she was young. And she said, well, that girl's got blue eyes. I've got green eyes. Yeah, but it's you. And so they had a bit of a situation. First of all, they were very thankful that this dance teacher had gotten their daughter to move around. And so they said, come on, let's go. I don't want to go. I want to stay here with my mummy. But I'm your mummy, said the girl's mummy. The dance teacher looked at the girl and she said, what's her name? Emmalina. She said, Emmalina, this is your mummy and daddy. You have to go now. But I'm coming with you. And so all four of them walked all the way down the mountain, back to the girl's house. And the wicked dance teacher stayed in the bedroom, the spare bedroom in this house, and taught the girl all the way until she was 18. And she became the world's best ballet dancer. That's ballet, not belly. Because you know there's belly dancers as well. Anyway.
What is belly dancing?
Belly, it's where you dance with your belly. You roll your belly and just wiggle it around with some sparkly bits on it. And twiddle your fingers up and down like this. Anyway, that was almost the end of the story of the girl who had the terrible dance teacher, but there wasn't much scary in that story, right? But you know what's scary about it? Actually, the girl who came down the mountain with the dance teacher was not the mummy and daddy's real daughter. She'd been swapped with a girl with green eyes. And so, when the girl became the most famous ballerina in the whole wide world, she had to go and see the Queen of England for an award. And the Queen wrote her a letter and said, "You are such a great ballerina. Please come to my house to have a party and dance for me and the King. And bring your mummy and daddy." And when she got the letter, she called the Queen and said, "Hello, Mrs. Queen. I don't have a daddy, I've just got a mummy." And she took the ballerina teacher, the dance teacher, the bad one, all the way to see the Queen. And that was that was the whole plan. Because the bad teacher then gobbled up the Queen. And now the King became the Queen of England. And she was the most wicked queen in the whole wide world. And made everybody's life terrible. And that's another story, I think.
What happened to the princess?
The princess. Well, the ballerina became the princess because she was the daughter of the wicked dance teacher. And I think that could be another story, right?
Tomorrow.
The
Today. No, tomorrow at school.
Emmalina, the
Emmalina.
princess ballerina. Oh, that rhymes.
There's a wicked Lena.
Emmalina, the wicked ballerina, the princess of the wicked queen. The end.